All right. Are we all set up? I might be really close to the mic. Usually the mic's not this close to my face. I'll turn the gain down. Let's see. Let's see what this does. Check. Okay. Yeah, that's pretty good. So what are we doing? Can we readjust this focus, please? Camera. That work? Did that do it? Okay, good. Well, it's kind of late. I just thought I'd try something, which is I don't know. I just wanted to practice writing. See if I could just do that on stream, maybe. But not like good writing, just like brainstorming writing, like free writing. And so I just pick a topic which I think might be interesting. Mostly to me. No one's really watching. And then just write about it for, I don't know, a couple minutes. So I mean, I actually gotta hit the bed soon, but I set this little thing up, which is fun. So anyway, yeah, I mean, it's interesting. We'll see how it goes. So my hope is that there's more people interacting at some point. But just for now, I'm just gonna kind of just kind of like free write and like not really think about it and just offer my what I'm thinking while I do it. That's pretty much what it's gonna be. Pretty chill stream, and then maybe to detox, I'll play some chess. Yeah. So, why is The Sopranos good? I mean, are we assuming the sale here? So, like, I guess the question is first question, is The Sopranos good? I don't know why everything's bolded. So what do we mean by good? Oh, wow, it's still bolded. Okay. What do we mean by good? What makes a good TV show? So let's start answering some of these questions, right? So what makes a good TV show is, I like to think of TV shows like food, because stories are also a necessity to humans' existence. Thanks, Tyrion Lannister. Tyrion Lannister, right? I'm pretty sure it's Tyrion. Let's look this up. Yeah, it's Tyrion Lannister. Yeah, not crazy. Okay. So, all jokes aside, what am I thinking here? Stories are necessary. Why? Why are they necessary? Because they help us make sense of the crazy world around us. And it's pretty straightforward. Don't really see what anyone could argue with at this point. Except maybe the analogy. But I'm getting to that. Stories are necessary because they help us make sense of the crazy world around us. Food is necessary because we need nutrients to survive. So maybe the analogy. So I need to explain this analogy. So I guess the way it explains is they're both necessary. So this is not a necessary statement, but we'll just leave it there. Um, Food is necessary because we need nutrients to survive. Stories are necessary because they help us make sense of the crazy world around us. I mean, without stories, what's the thought here? Without stories, we wouldn't have, like, imagine a life. I'm just gonna start just free writing now. Not even don't even care about grammar. Uh, like imagine living your life without ever having heard a story. You would not you would not know how to conceptualize the world. Like like no one lives like that. And there's almost, and you know what? It's now I found the connective thread. So it's food is, what's it called? Physical need. Stories are social need. Because you see, we live in a society. I mean, we do live in a society, but I mean, whatever. Anyway, okay. So, the reason why I think of it like food is because it's also necessary to human existence. So when you hear people, this is good actually, because usually, okay, so here's what's great about this, which is what I like about this so far, is that usually all of this crazy stuff, like reading this, you might think I'm just a crazy person, which I am. Like who thinks like this? And I'm not saying it's good thoughts. Like I'm not saying like, oh, I'm a genius. I'm Ernest Hemingway, which I'm not. Because first of all, I'm not an alcoholic. But damn, burning Ernest Hemingway. Uh, never even read what Old Man in the Sea. Never read it. I'm getting distracted. So um what I like about this is that usually all these crazy thoughts are just running through my head, and it's just fun seeing it. Like I just want to share this with the world. Like this is what's happening in my brain. Um, I could be like completely off base, but we'll keep going. So when you hear people talking about what they like about food, what's interesting is that there's a component of it where food is necessary for survival. And yet we've now entered, and yet in times of surplus, food for certain people, or a majority of people, let's be honest, a majority of people in the US, I can't keep adding qualifiers to everything. That's just not how my brain works. But I mean, let's be honest. There's qualifiers to everything. Like a major surplus. There's plenty of people who don't have food. Is my point. But is not my point. But it's the qualifier, obviously. What was I gonna say? I swear, my therapist said I don't have ADHD. My therapist said it's unlikely you have ADHD. And that even if you did have ADHD, it would be better for you to manage it, um, using non-medication methods. Um, you know, so like, you know, not everything my therapist says is gospel, but Anyway. Okay, so where was I? Component of where food is necessary for survival. Okay, people start having a much more intimate, personal relationship with food. Okay, okay. So this is now we're getting to the point. For example, I people have comfort food. Um, personal, personal food that makes them, I guess, feel comfort. For me, for me, comfort food is uh, like something from my childhood, probably. Like ramen, like like ramen like like eggs, because you add eggs. Ramen with like eggs. This is not. I'm not. I'm not. I'm not like uh trying to be like a great writer here. I'm just trying to put down thoughts. Ramen with like eggs. So you know it'd be really funny. You know it'd be really funny. I mean, I know this is not happening, but it'd be really funny if the mic wasn't even on. Like if the mic was muted this whole time, that would be. And like you were just reading this, and you're like, what could this person be possibly talking about? Anyway, um, people have comfort food. People have people have food that they intensely dislike. People have food that that they love. People consider certain types of food like what's it called? Prestige. No, that's like a TV term. Um, fancy, and some foods really simple. Oftentimes comfort food. Oftentimes comfort food. It's simple. Um, so I can go on and on, but you know, we all understand the complex relationships, personal relationships that people have with food. And I think and I think that people view stories and therefore television in a similar manner. In a similar manner. Because we need stories, because we're always in search of stories that feed us, and by feed us, or nourish, that nourish us, that nourish us, and us meaning in a personal sense. So one story is maybe not going to do the same thing for you than it is for me. But the interesting thing is that food and stories do have base nutritional values. A Twinkie, for example. Share. Hey, share what you know. Do you ever while daydreaming? What does that mean? Do you ever what while daydreaming? Do you ever like try to tell stories while you're daydreaming? Yeah, dreams are us. Dreams are us just trying to make sense of the world, right? Like your brain like subconsciously trying to make sense of the world, or like the like the events that had just happened. You know, something lingers in your brain's like trying to sort things out. Um, okay, so where was I? Do you ever eat while daydreaming? Um, like me personally, no, I don't think so. Um, but I I daydream. I daydream less these days, though. I don't daydream as much. Mostly because I have a job, and daydreaming at the job is, uh, that's not gonna work. Uh, but no, I don't think I ever eat while daydreaming. I could see it happening, for sure. Um, okay, so like, where was I? Yeah, food and stores do have base nutritional values. So the point I'm making here is like a Twinkie, for example. People could love a Twinkie, but like objectively, you can't survive off of Twinkies. Like, you might wish you might, if you really love Twinkies. Like, if you really love Twinkies, you might wish that you could eat Twinkies for the rest of your life. Although really highly unlikely. Likely because you would probably be a psychopath if that was the case. But you might wish that you could, but you can't. You can't, but you can't. You'll die. So in the same way, stories have to have base nutritional values. And the nutrition in this case is something like resonance. This is a very what's it called? Hero with 1,000 faces. Joseph Campbell idea. But it was something like resonance and I should add something like resonance and what's the term? Something like resonance and no, resonance is the right term here because it encompasses what I'm trying to say. This is a very hero with 1,000 case Joseph Campbell idea. Which is a story's ability to show you something about the world or make you realize something about the world. So at this point, this is getting to the limits of like what I would really need to start thinking. Like, I'm just free writing right now. I would really have to start thinking about stuff to like make this make sense because I'm not a professional writer. But I think the basic idea is like if you make a story that resonates with a lot of people, then that story usually propagates and is shared. Propagates? Propagates. Oh boy. Propagates? Oh, nailed it. Usually propagates and is shared. Because people recognize the same way they usually recognize like good food. they recognize good stories. They recognize good stories. Good stories. Good in this context. Text being what resonates with people or something like that. I don't know. That's some sort of logic trap I just entered there. Being what resonates with people. I feel like what I just did there is something like it's good because people say it's good. But you know, let's just keep going. I think I'm not saying that it's good because people actually no, I am kind of saying that. I'm saying it's like I'm saying that people have an idea of what like people in general people okay, I should just write this. In general, wow. My brain this is actually disturbing. How have I what time is it? I literally have kind of lost track of time. The original idea. Why is The Sopranos good? Okay, this should have been like, why is Paul ranting about stories and food? So, when I say good, I think what I mean is that people, in general, humans have a set of characteristics which they generally prescribe to a resonant to a good, which I'm saying good is resonance, right? So we're prescribed to a good story. In the case of resonance, it has to do not in the case of resonance. In the case of resonance is good. In the case of like Joseph Campbell, he would argue that the monomyth is a large indicator of a good story because it gets told because the framework of it gets repeated over and over and over and over since the beginning of human. And I don't have enough time to get into that right now, but the basic idea is descent into darkness and then ascent into the descent into darkness is that a protagonist descends into darkness or tribulation or endures tribulations in order to obtain something, and then once they have obtained it, they return with the thing that they obtained, but not necessarily the thing that they obtained. They go in search of a thing, but the thing might not necessarily be what they want or what they needed. They go in search of a thing that they want. Okay, all right. So we'll literally. Oh my god. Okay, I'm gonna try. We have to make this quick. So the person. So as a clarification, the protagonist goes in search of what they want, a search of something they want. They endure trials and tribulations to get there. Then they find what they want, and they find what they want, and or what it was they really needed, they pay the price for having found it, and then they return having changed. So this is the basic premise of like the monomyth. Um, I'm not an expert, but I am not an expert on this. I am just a lonely boy with a lot of time on his hands. Don't come after me. Okay. Okay, so now that we've gone through all that, let's just try to remember how we got here. So, yeah, what makes a good TV show? I made the analogy between food and stories. So that, and then I explained a little bit about the monomyth. And then, so where we are now is now that I made this analogy, and I've indicated that stories like food can have base nutritional value, or base, there's like base things that people find within food and within stories that we generally agree are good, or generally agree are what the purpose of food or stories is, which is to nourish us, or to bring us to, or to bring us an understanding of the world around us. So that's the purpose of food and stories. And so I think in general, people have an idea what constitutes a story that does that. So if I tell you a story like this, if I tell you a story like, okay, so what's my point? But what's my point? And maybe I should have just said this earlier. If I tell you a story like, there is a dog named Clifford. Clifford went to the store, and Clifford went to the store and couldn't Clifford went to the store to buy, I don't know, let's just say something crazy. Clifford went to the store to buy a car. I'm gonna get to the, I promise there's a point. There's a dog named Clifford. Clifford went to the store to buy a car, but because Clifford was very big, there's a dog named Clifford. Clifford is a very big dog. Clifford went to the store to buy a car because Clifford was very big. He could not get it. So Clifford here. Okay, so this is a story. This is a story. Like I could tell you a story like that. Like this technically would like qualify as a story. So then, but here's what happens. So it was what I'm talking about like, so now if I tell you there is a dog named Clifford. Clifford is a very big dog. Clifford really wants a car. Because he saw a car on TV and he loves shiny things. So Clifford excitedly rushed to the store, but he realized that he could not get into the store because he was so big. And Clifford and Clifford was very sad and had to walk or run back home. So maybe I'm doing a terrible job of this because the second story is not like is also not that good. But the difference between 1 and 2 is that like even though they're both technically stories, they're both ways that you could explain a series of events. The second one, I think for sure, is the one that people relate to more. Um, like I'm adding what Clifford wants, and I'm explaining like what Clifford is looking for, what Clifford, and how Clifford felt when he realized he couldn't get it. Like I don't. I'm in my head. I'm like thinking like how would you argue against this? And I don't think you would necessarily. I mean, I'm probably wrong there. Just people want to argue. Um. Anyway. Uh. Okay. So the point is the second story is more compelling, more resonant, and people in general would say, I think that story is more valuable. Is better. It's better. There is nothing wrong necessarily with someone liking the first story. If someone, yeah. But there are people but according to the standards of that we've set as humans, like the second story is better. The same way that you are perfectly fine to love, like I don't know, Frito, like what's it called? I'm trying to think of I wanted to say Doritos, but man, Doritos are so good. Like it's crack. Doritos are crack. I wanted to think of like a kind of a crappy chip. I mean, I can't really think of one. Like, what's like a crappy brand that really like? Oh, I don't know. Lay's potato chips. You're perfectly fine to love Lay's potato chips, but like compared to um I mean compared to like a Michelin star, like of or let's say compared to like a um I don't know this word. I'm trying to find Lay's potato chips, but like compared to like something really fancy or something really like that has a lot more. So I should have just stuck with Twinkies. You're perfectly fine to love Twinkies, but if someone offers you, but you're perfectly fine to love Twinkies, but we can mostly agree that that like cake or like there are I guess Twinkies a cake dessert or like a cake snack, so we can mostly agree that like a cake at a fancy diner is better in some sense, like more work, more like it's put together more, it has more nutritional value, or not nutritional value, like it could still be very bad for you. It has more flavor, it has more depth of flavor, it offers more it offers more of an experience than Twinkies. Yeah, an experience. I think that's clear. I'm gonna bold experience. So I think that's what I'm trying to say here. It offers more of an experience than Twinkies. You're perfectly fine to love Twinkies. But I think people can generally agree that there are things that offer way more of an experience that are also the cake desserts than Twinkies. Okay. Okay. So I've made my point like 5 times now because I'm a crazy person who can't just say the thing and then just move on. So where was I? Yeah. Okay, so now that I've made this analogy, what am I trying to do? So I mean, up to this point, it's just explaining why I like this analogy, and now it's so like, what are the consequences? What can we do if we accept this analogy? Well, we can acknowledge that there are certain TV shows which are way closer to being junk food. There are TV shows which act as simple comfort food. There are TV shows which act as refined Michelin star, I hope I saw that right, rated, which is a tire company, by the way. LOL, how did a tire company end up becoming synonymous with elite food? So there's TV shows which act as refined Michelin star experiences, and then there's a bunch of TV shows that are foods that you recognize, but the execution is horrible. Like, I can try making a cheesecake for the first time, but if I forget to put in cheese, like, I can call it a cheesecake, but it's not. Now I'm just ranting. But my point is that people get very upset when you say you don't like a TV show. Because it's very personal. The same way food is personal to people. And like, when you say you don't like the same kinds of food as someone else, that usually garners a lot of reaction. Or like, you hate a food that someone loves. And I've come to the conclusion that the reason we get so worked up about it is because it's something everyone has an opinion on, because everyone needs it for survival, so to speak. You can't not have an opinion on food or what kind of stories you like, because you've interacted with them since the day you were born. Okay. People get worked up over it. It's very personal because everyone needs it for survival. Everyone has an opinion. Okay. Let's try to get to it. Let's try to get to an ending point here, because I did not realize how long this is gonna take. Oh, I just hit the mic there. I'm sorry. What was my greater point? You hated food as someone, and the reason it gets so worked about is because it's something everyone has opinion on, because everyone needs to survival. So like when, but you can and should be able to make statements that indicate that, like, you think a certain TV show is put together much better than another TV show, and the fact that you personally hate or love a TV show doesn't change doesn't really affect the base nutritional value, so to speak, of that thing. Whew. Okay. The same way that the Twinkie analogy from earlier. Okay, so now I'm gonna get spicy. Now that I've tried to build a protective wall of undecipherable text. Before sharing my real thoughts. So if I tell you, I think The Big Bang Theory was a bad show, that does not mean I think you are a bad person necessarily for watching that. I know some people think that because people love to get worked up about stuff, dumb stuff. But what I do think is that you're not coming to TV, you're not using TV in the same way that I'm using it. If your favorite show is The Big Bang Theory, to me, if you love like The Big Bang Theory, it indicates to me that you prefer simpler comfort food, and there is nothing wrong with that. But if you were to then say, oh, I think Big Bang Theory is better than Game of Thrones, it would be like it would be like saying I think this cup of noodles is better than, you know, ramen, like fancy ramen at a Japanese, at a highly regarded Japanese restaurant. Like, to you and the way that you experience food and stories, like this this is correct. Correct. You There is something else that you are going to food for than someone who is looking for a more nuanced experience. Okay? I said I was gonna get a little spicy. I'm actually holding back a little because I could be mean. I could be mean, but I actually I could be mean, and I have been mean sometimes, but I actually think it's not productive to be mean. Um about stuff like this, because I think you can't even help having opinions about stories or food. Like, it's not something like you don't even get to opt out of it. Like, everyone just does. Whether they like are like cognizant of it like on a daily basis or not. Like, everyone just does. Everyone has this in their head. Because they just interact with it on a daily basis. So and what I mean by, okay, real side tangent here, like, just a side thought, like, I know for a fact, okay, I shouldn't say I know that people do this calculus all the time, because because when a friend tells you a story, or like, because when a friend tells you a story, you're in your head going, you know that in your head you're making a decision about whether the story is good or not. And it's based on some personal heuristic that you have. And you're doing this with all stories. Like, cool story, bro. Like, wouldn't work if we wouldn't work as a joke, and wouldn't be such a devastating like insult if this wasn't something we're doing all the time. Okay, so that's a real side tangent. Okay, so wait, is that something? Okay, so what? Having said all that, what am I personally looking for in a TV show? What am I going to TV for? Well, I have gone back, and I do go back. Comfort food TV. And I have my own notions of what that is. But there is a part of me that also really, really, really loves challenging TV. So that is challenging TV. And sometimes, if I'm being completely honest, what I want is challenging TV, which is also entertaining and visually visually cutting edge. So, and I think if I'm being completely honest, sometimes just being entertaining and visually cutting edge does it for me. Wait, did I miss out completely? What happened here? Oh, it's just saying you said completely twice. Sometimes just being is enough for this sucker. Visually cutting edge is enough for this sucker. But if something also is challenging at the same time, that's a winning combo, baby. Okay. Okay, so now we've set that. Let's leave that here for now and head to bed because you have been writing for an hour now. we are nowhere close. I don't know how far you've been following, but I've ranted for an hour. And all I've gotten to at this point is explaining what I think makes a good TV show. So I mean, we're just gonna have to continue this later at some point. Like I haven't. This is me just even going through the process. So it's like what, like The Sopranos. I'm gonna give it a like rating. Man, I don't even know if we want to go into like what does a number rating mean, but I guess if we're just give it a basic number rating right now, for me it would be like an 8. I'd give it an 8. Like right now, just like not even having gone through everything and like just kind of not even having finished it. I'm on the last season. Just give it like an 8. I think it's fair. So I don't think it's like the best TV show of all time. I think there's actually a lot of things about it which, and this is why I had to indicate what I think makes a good TV show, but why I think that what I think makes a good TV show is not necessarily what other people think makes a good TV show. And if I were to like go with what other people think, then like they could give it a 10 out of 10. They're like, this is the best show in history. But I think at the higher level, like I'm already giving it an 8. Maybe I'll bump it up to a 9. But like I think at these higher levels, like you can't start accusing me of being like, you're just fighting for little details at that point. You can't start accusing me of being like, oh, you like Smallville, so like that's why you think The Sopranos is bad. Like that's not how this works. So. Oh man, I shouldn't have said I like Smallville. Like, I liked Smallville when I was like a teenager. Okay, before all of this crazy Nexium stuff. Okay, I'm not that was way before any of. I had no idea. So, just do with that what you will. Okay, all right, bro. Life. I'm gonna head to bed. That was kind of crazy. I can't believe that one was so long. But what you gonna do? Alright, night.